Hello and welcome to another episode of What Gets Captured on Film. My name is Dylan Paulson and I am your host. And if you are new here, this is a movie news centered podcast and it is all about education. And I hope that you learned something. And in the meantime, I hope that I learned something too, putting the news together, or maybe I'll just throw something together on the spot that is a little educational little nugget for myself and for you. We will be covering the news from November 10th through November 16th. And that's all I have to say for a little preamble, so I think we'll just get right into some smaller news stories. Right off the top, these are some news stories that aren't big enough, don't have enough articles written about them, and not enough substance to make them into full news stories, but still things that I wanted to call out that don't necessarily fit into the wrap-up, things I wanted to take a little extra time to put, even though there's not enough there for me to turn into a full story. So first of all, The Hollywood Reporter released a review for Swan Song, which is that movie starring Mahershala Ali and that director, I forget his name, but he was an Oscar-winning director that only directed a short film that was nominated and won for Best Short Film. And he's directing this movie called Swan Song. And it stars Mahershala Ali. Last week, I watched the trailer for it, and I loved it. And the article in the first paragraph or second paragraph just spoiled the movie, and I'm really bad about it. That was it. That's all I wanted to say about that. Don't go to the Hollywood Reporter. Week by week, I get a lot of articles from there. There's a lot of good stuff there, but I'm thinking about going somewhere else instead because week by week, I just get more furious with the stuff that they put out. So that's that. Next, small little thing, Doctor Strange sequel, which is called The Multiverse of Madness, I believe, directed by Sam Raimi. That's why I'm very interested in it. Is undergoing significant reshoots, according to a source from The Hollywood Reporter, possibly up to 6 weeks. This story was like totally all over the place on The Hollywood Reporter. I have no idea the accuracy of this from one unnamed source, which usually in journalism is not enough to corroborate a story, because if you only have one source that wishes to remain anonymous, they could just be lying, because they have nothing to, they have nothing to prove if their name is anonymous. So this could totally be a lie. I don't know why the Hollywood Reporter would report on it if, because a lot of the stories they write are good, but some of them are horrible. So this could just be another horrible one. But if it was true that Doctor Strange sequel was doing significant reshoots of up to 6 weeks, that's a lot. That's a long time. And reshoot budget is usually not in the principal photography budget. It usually comes from somewhere else. Or if it does come from principal photography budget, it will be a small portion of it, like a week or two maybe, but 6 weeks is a lot. So this movie might be going over budget. Not necessarily a bad thing. Marvel has plenty of money to throw around, and anyone is going to go see a Doctor Strange sequel. I might go see it in theaters just because I like Sam Raimi. So whatever. Not really a big story, but just wanted to point it out. Next thing is that there's been a lot of press around the Harry Potter 20th anniversary of the Sorcerer's Stone movie or the Philosopher's Stone movie, depending on where you live. Chris Columbus, the director of the first two movies, he did an interesting interview with the Hollywood Reporter about the making of the first movie. And the article is titled Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone turns 20. Director Chris Columbus reflects on pressures to adapt book and hopes to direct Cursed Child. There's a lot more to the article than just that, than just like the pressure of adapting the book and what Columbus wants to do in the future. There's a lot to the article, and I just wanted to bring it up in case you were interested in it. There's a lot of press about Harry Potter right now, so if you are, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, but if you are interested in Harry Potter, there is tons of good stuff out there being written right now, and it's very new. It's great if you're a Harry Potter fan. Next thing is that there was a Deadline exclusive interview with Adam McKay, who was the writer-director of Don't Look Up. He previously did Vice and The Big Short, and then the 2 Anchorman movies, of course, and which is coming December 10th this year. Another really interesting interview I just wanted to bring up. I just read probably like 78 to 90% of it. Skimmed through the last bit because I got bored, but he, was just talking about how he could, pull off a script like this and what inspired it in real life, and because the script was written before COVID, and then how did that, how did it feel seeing his script play out in real life, and then how did he have to adjust the script to make it seem more comedic if what we were viewing in real life was already as dramatic as it was. A very interesting interview. So yeah, that is on Deadline if you are interested in that. So that was it. Those are the small news stories for this week. Not a lot, not a ton of news, all told. There's a lot of stuff in the wrap-up, but... there's also... I wanted to bring this up. So I'm filming this on Tuesday night around 6 o'clock. There's supposed to be a Spider-Man Far From Home trailer released today, and I don't know when it was supposed to be released, and I'm not going to pause filming of the show for this. I'm a busy man. I have a busy schedule. So I'll just talk about it next week if it comes out, while I'm filming this, but, or if it comes out after I'm done recording this. But if it comes out if I just see it pop up somewhere on YouTube or Twitter or something, I will add it to the news. But, just wanted to bring that up. I'm not ignoring the Spider-Man trailer. As of the time I'm recording this, it's not out yet. I'm interested in it. I want to see what's going on with this new trailer. And that movie comes out soon. I'm not sure. I'll look it up real quick. That Spider-Man comes out December 17th. Yeah, in theaters. Okay, so what did I watch this week? Yeah, I watched Red Notice. Oh, wow. Okay, this is so funny. I just go into IMDb to look up some things about Red Notice, and front page, Don't Look Up has a new trailer, which is so funny. I'm going to see if that this is live. You're getting this live, people. I'm going to see if that just came out. It did. It came out today. I didn't even realize. Okay. I'll add that to the news later. But as of right now, the only movie that I watched this week is Red Notice. I watched it last night, I think, or maybe Sunday night. Netflix movie. They're promoting it a lot. It was the first thing that I saw when I logged into Netflix. Directed by Rawson Marshall Thurber. It stars Dwayne Johnson, Ryan Reynolds, and Gal Gadot. Mixed bag of a movie. I came out of the movie. Okay, here's the thing. I go into the movie. I look up the movie beforehand, and I'm like, oh, wow, this came out today. And I remember seeing the trailer, and I remember loving it. I watched the trailer the same week that I watched the Uncharted trailer. And I was like, wow, this looks like it's much better and more interesting than Uncharted. Movie comes out, and it has Metascore of 39, which is bad. That's a bad Metascore. I don't really look at the reviews too much, but 39 is not good. So I go into the movie with lowered expectations. I watch the movie. I come out of it. I enjoyed it. I come out of it liking it, right? I didn't hate the movie. I don't think it's bad. I don't think you should avoid it. It might not necessarily be worth your time if you're a busy person, but I thought it was okay. I liked it. That being said, there are definitely some things that I want to bring up that the movie falls short on. And again, this is Red Notice. So Dwayne Johnson's character is incredibly boring. The whole movie, nearly. He's like that for a reason. It's, a part of his character that he's, closed off and whatever. But the whole time I'm watching the movie and I'm thinking, Dwayne Johnson is a better actor than this. He can do more with these lines. And the whole time he's just like playing it like a straight face, no emotion, FBI agent. And it's really boring to watch. And it doesn't play well with Ryan Reynolds because Ryan Reynolds is off the walls the whole time. He's he does a good job. And he has he tries to be funny. He has this little, Ryan Reynolds charm. The dialogue between them was okay. The script was not great. I got lost in a lot of things. A lot of times it's like, wait, what is everyone's motivation here? And like, why are these characters all together? Like, why are Ryan Reynolds and Dwayne Johnson constantly helping each other out? It's the movie's confusing, and the payoff at the end of the movie I don't think is worth all of that confusion. Because I was getting frustrated with it. I was like, I feel like I should know more. And that was it. That was just it. I didn't think the payoff was worth it. But so Ryan Reynolds, I think, is a funny character for the most part. A couple jokes definitely fell flat, but a couple jokes hit. I had a few chuckles. I enjoyed it. The humor and the jokes that Ryan Reynolds, pulls out can sometimes be a little too modern. It's like, oh yeah, this, referencing this Miley Cyrus concert or something. I mean, that's a poor example because Miley Cyrus has been around forever, but it's like, I don't know. If you watch it, you'll see it's just the jokes are like a little too modern to be like, oh, really? Where I like jokes that aren't topical, unless the movie's going for something like something that is topical, right? Like a political spoof, a political comedy. But this isn't that. So I think it would be smarter if the jokes were just, jokes. So it's not like you watch this movie a few years later. I don't think anyone's going to be watching this movie in a few years, but like you watch this movie a few years later and you're like, wow, that joke holds up. But instead you're just like, wait, what was that one specific event that Ryan Reynolds just referred to? And you have to like go back into the depths of your mind and be like, what is he talking about? But yeah, that's kind of beside the point. Gal Gadot, I thought she was completely underwhelming. I don't think she did a great job. She was, that's it. That's just it. Underwhelming. She was kind of boring to watch. She didn't bring any flair on screen. I think anyone could have played that part better than she did. I don't know. I don't want to be too hard on her. I think anyone could have played that part. I think she did a fine job. But anyone could have played that part. There's not like she brought anything special to the table. Yeah, I like that wording better. I was being a little too hard on her. Needlessly. She did a fine job. It's not like she was bad. Like Dwayne Johnson, I thought, didn't do a good job in this movie. He's much better than this. And it makes the movie unenjoyable to watch for scenes. There are other scenes. Okay, so here's another good thing that I really liked about it was that there are really, really interesting set piece bits in the action that is really cool. There's a scene in one of the first chase sequences of the film between Dwayne Johnson and Ryan Reynolds. It's not a spoiler. And they go through a window and the camera follows them from inside the building to the window to outside and it spins around them. It's really good. It's a great shot and it's a great bit inside this larger action set piece. It's really good. It was just so interesting visually, and it was it was great. It really piqued my interest early on in the movie. But there are also some things that like totally pulled me out of the action. Where in that same sequence, Dwayne Johnson is running after Ryan Reynolds, and Ryan Reynolds goes through some scaffolding and then runs away. And Dwayne Johnson, he's like, I can't get through the scaffolding, and he looks to the wall and he points on the wall to like, oh, this is the fire escape route. This is the way I go. He doesn't say that, but his finger goes up to the wall and it moves around, and he's like, okay, I'll go. That sounds like a small thing, but like in the heat of the action, when your character stops, looks at the wall, and takes time to, you don't need that. It's totally unnecessary. Dwayne Johnson could have just looked to his right and just walked. In that scene, he's an FBI agent. There's an assumption that he knows his way around a building and knows the fire escape routes, right? It was totally unnecessary and totally drew me out of the action because it was just like a beat too long of, and I'm only bringing up this one specific thing to say that it's a little representative of the action sometimes. It meanders. I use that word a lot on this show, but it just like doesn't always make total sense. It's not always completely cohesive. But there are also some things in the movie. There's without spoiling anything again, a prison sequence. The prison action sequence is pretty interesting, visually. But there's not, like, motivation wise, again, there's not so much behind it to make it emotionally investing. It's visually interesting and it's cool to watch, but it's not emotionally investing. So those parts of the movie are cool, but because Dwayne Johnson's character and Ryan Reynolds, because I never bought their camaraderie and their bouncing off each other, because Dwayne Johnson's character is so flat, it really makes the emotional sequences of the movie uninteresting, and it makes them boring. However, there's enough through the movie that I think it is worth watch. I think there's enough comedy. I think Ryan Reynolds is a good character. Gal Gadot does a fine job. There's this whole other character, a fourth, like, FBI agent that I didn't really understand what her purpose was, to be honest, but she's in the movie and she has a kind of an interesting story, I guess. Yeah, it was, yeah. And the whole movie, like, okay, so we have this whole plot about the Cleopatra's lost golden eggs or something, right? And at the end of the movie, there's some sort of payoff. It's a comedic payoff. And it is funny. I laughed, and I was like, wow, that is funny. But it also totally degrades the entire rest of the movie, because they play off this big sequence as a joke. And it's a good joke, but the movie, it's not a comedy. There are jokes in it. It's definitely funny, but it's not a straight comedy. It's an action movie, and the movie doesn't know what it wants to be. Is it a straight comedy? Because if it is a straight comedy, that action or that comedic payoff at the end is hilarious. Great. Good job, But this isn't Austin Powers. This is a movie that's trying to take itself seriously, and it just didn't work. It just totally undermined the rest of the movie. If you're watching, or if you're listening to this, you know what I'm talking about. I don't want to spoil it, because I still think the movie is worth watching. For the average person, fine. But if you are going to get annoyed or bothered by some of the things I'm talking about, then no, skip the movie. But I know a lot of people that are going to watch this movie and probably wouldn't think anything of it. Had a few good laughs, enjoyed it. It was pretty good. So yeah, there were definitely some things I liked about it, and some things that just totally didn't add up and didn't make sense. And a lot of people will look up a movie and say, oh wow, look at the Metascore, the Rotten Tomatoes, this is whatever. And they'll watch it and be like, oh, wow, I didn't get the critics review at all. So maybe through hearing what I have to say about it, you can understand or say, understand why the critics thought this way about the movie after I talk about it, even though, I can see where there are some things that went awry, some things that are amiss in the movie and the script and the acting. But I ultimately walked out of the movie thinking that I didn't waste my time. I enjoyed what I saw. It wasn't 2 hours gone. I think the movie would have been 1,000 times better if it was a straight comedy and Dwayne Johnson was hamming it up right along with Ryan Reynolds, doing this whole buddy cop thing. And it was like 20 minutes shorter, and they cut out all of this emotional stuff. I think it would have been way funnier. And if Netflix put it in theaters instead, because there are definitely some bits that I saw that I was like, man, I wish I was watching this in a theater, because if I was there with an audience would have roared laughing at some of this stuff. It's good. Some bits are good. And some plot points just like don't even make sense. One just like popped into my head, and then I'm like, wow, that didn't even make sense even after I saw the end of the movie and like things are supposed to be explained. Like that didn't even, they could have, whatever. It doesn't matter. Whatever. Yeah, so that's pretty much what I thought of it. Ultimately didn't think it was a waste of time, but didn't love it. Probably won't watch it again unless I have to. So yeah, that was it. So other than that, that's the only movie I watched this week. Big movie came out on Friday, and Tick Tick Boom comes out on Netflix this week. I'm going to be watching that this week, almost definitely. I think I forget when it comes out. Wednesday maybe? Friday maybe? I don't know. I forget. But yeah, that movie's looking good. Some good press about that movie. Looking forward to it. But other than that, I've been watching Seinfeld. Seinfeld is always a show that I just put on in the background of whatever I'm doing. If I'm cooking or eating dinner, or if I'm playing a video game that doesn't require a lot of attention, I'll just throw on Seinfeld. So I've been watching Seinfeld from the beginning again. I watched Seinfeld recently. Well, Seinfeld's very nostalgic for me. My mom and I used to sit down for dinner almost every night, and Seinfeld would come on at 6 o'clock on TBS, and we would just watch it almost every night. So it's very nostalgic for me in that way. Growing up, going through high school, maybe 2 or 3 years while my dad was working long distance, so I didn't see him during the week. My mom and I would watch Seinfeld. So it's very nostalgic. So I've seen a lot of the episodes. And then this past April, I got COVID. I tested positive for COVID, and I couldn't do anything. And then I got really sick after I tested positive. I was like, oof, like, the classic COVID symptoms that you always hear. And then while I was doing nothing in bed and Instacarting my shopping and all that, I watched the entirety of Seinfeld, all 9 seasons on Hulu. Before it came to Netflix, I watched all of it. For the first time ever, I saw every episode straight through. There were definitely episodes that I missed. And now I'm kind of doing it again, but not really. I'm not really committed to getting through it all the way, but I know that I like the show enough that I'm just going to wind up watching it. It's so funny. It's so situational. There are some things that I think don't hold up. Not every joke holds up. Not every episode concept holds up, just because it's a product of its time. It's a product of the 90s. And this is just what I was talking about with Red Notice, is that because Seinfeld is a straight comedy and it's not trying to take itself too seriously emotionally, you can have, just jokes, and you can have jokes that are topical, and you can have jokes that stand the test of time. And Seinfeld does both, and it does them both really well because it's straight comedy. It never takes itself too seriously. Never. The only time that Seinfeld takes itself too seriously is in the last episode, the finale, and that's why it's so divisive. So, yeah. Yeah, that's it. I mean, I could talk about Seinfeld forever, but yeah. And then the other thing that I've been watching is Ted Lasso season 2. I think I only watched a few episodes. Still some things that I want to talk about. Still some things I don't like, but the episodes that I remember watching last week I did enjoy. So I'm getting to the end of the season. I'm a slow watcher with Ted Lasso season 2. I'm not in love with it, and that's why I haven't. If I was in love with it like I was with season 1, I would have binged it in 2 days. But I'm just not there. So I'm getting through it, but slowly. So that's it. That's all that I've been watching this week. I've been also, playing a few video games every once in a while. So, and working and doing social things. I'm a busy man. All right, let's get into the news. Number 1. Aaron Sorkin, Nicole Kidman, Javier Bardem, J.K. Simmons, Tony Hale, and Nina Ariadna sat down on Saturday night for a Q&A about their upcoming film, Being the Ricardos, about the relationship of Desi Arnaz and Lucille Ball, while behind the scenes of their TV show, I Love Lucy. Sorkin spoke about the tenor of writing and directing another feature based on real people. Quote, treat it as a painting and not a photograph. Not looking for an impersonation of these characters. That in those moments when you're playing Lucy, Ricky, Ethel, and Fred, obviously we're going to have a nod toward that, but play the characters in the script. You're fully equipped. I don't want either of these two to freak out and feel the burden that is an impersonation. The impersonation is just smaller than what we were doing, unquote. So I didn't put that. I didn't put this in the story because I didn't fully read this quote. But Sorkin here is talking to the actors, talking to Nicole Kidman and Javier Bardem, who play Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz, respectively. All right, continue with the story. Initially, when the cast was first announced, there was some negative feedback from press about Nicole Kidman possibly being the wrong person to play Lucille Ball. When asked about this, Kidman said, quote, "I realized what she was doing in terms of trailblazing for so many women and her ability to take things on and then recover from failure, which I thought was fantastic. She would get up, brush herself off with Desi's help, and she would just move forward and tackle things. Her biggest failures turned out to be the thing that would drive her into the next success and ultimately lead her to what we know. And what we would revere her, what we revere her and revere the show and revere their art together. What they did together is gorgeous," end quote. All of this is to say that, much like other Sorkin endeavors previous to this, there will be some heavy interpretation involved in the storytelling aspects. Sorkin is coming hot off the heels of his Oscar-nominated, critically lauded Trial of the Chicago 7 for Netflix. Before Sorkin made his directorial debut with Before that, Sorkin made his directorial debut with the gambling crime film Molly's Game and has been writing films since A Few Good Men in 1992 and helming The West Wing from 1993 to 2003, quickly becoming one of the best and most popular screenwriters of all time. So I thought that it was a really interesting interview. I couldn't find, or it's a Q&A session. I couldn't find any video of it. I saw like some phone like camera things, but like no full 30-minute 45-minute Q&A. There was just a lot of reporters there, and I got bits and pieces of the Q&A from various sources, so it's hard to amalgamate all together, and it would have been huge because it's a 45-minute Q&A. But so what do we get from this, right? What do we get from this Q&A? We get that Sorkin is treating, much like his other, interpretations of real life in other movies, such as Molly's Game or Trial of the Chicago 7 or The Social Network. He's not treating it like this is what happened. He's writing a movie, and he's writing a movie that has his Sorkin flair. It has his voice to it, right? He is a screenwriter. He is writing with his voice to say something, right? And he always does, and he's great at doing that. He's the best. He's the best modern screenwrite. Period, bar none. Just the way he can make characters interact with each other. Obviously, there's something to say for this Sorkin dialogue that everyone talks about and brings up when talking about him, but in Trial of the Chicago 7, that isn't a difficult movie to make visual because it's just a courtroom sequence. And he didn't have that burden with A Few Good Men because someone else was directing it. But because he knew he was directing it, it was on him to make that movie visual and visually appealing for movie audiences. Otherwise, if it was just straight dialogue, it would have been a play. But it wasn't. It was a screenplay, and it was a movie, and it was a great movie, and it was incredibly visual. So I think that when people talk about Aaron Sorkin and they say, oh, his dialogue is really good, it is really good, but you're not giving him enough credit. He's the best modern screenwriter he's the best modern screenwriter, period. I keep wanting to say of all time, but it doesn't make sense if I say modern. He's the best modern screenwriter, period. So saying that his dialogue is good, yes, it is. It's good. It's great. It's the best. But there's so much more to writing than just having two characters interact with each other, right? Set up a sequence. I think it was Alfred Hitchcock that said something along the lines of like, I might have mentioned this on the show before, but it was like, you have a person walk into a room through a door, and you have a situation, right? But you have a person walk in the room through the window. Now you have a story. Something like that. Whatever Alfred Hitchcock said. That's writing. It's not necessarily the dialogue. Sorkin's got great dialogue. But, so what? Dialogue is cool. Dialogue's interesting. It's what the audience It's what the average everyday audience that doesn't know a lot about writing wants to hear. Ooh, let's hear that Tarantino dialogue. But like, same thing. Like Tarantino, the reason why Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was Tarantino's best writing yet wasn't because the dialogue was good. It was because in the last scene, I'm going to spoil it because I'm passionate about it right now, and I want to say why this is so good. It was because in the last scene, there were 1,000 things going on all at once, and it all made sense, and it all worked within each other. You have people that are robbing the main character, Brad Pitt. It's Brad Pitt's in the house, but it's DiCaprio's house. That are robbing him while he's tripping on acid and his dog is barking and DiCaprio is in the pool with his headphones on and he's drunk sipping on margaritas and he just yelled at these people. There's so much going on. I've only seen the movie twice and it was in theaters years ago. So forgive me if that's not everything. But in that last scene, there is so much going on all at one time and it all works and it's all significant. And it makes sense too. Like the reason why we saw Brad Pitt, beat Bruce Lee to shit earlier in the movie was to show that he can hold himself up. So when you get to see him later in the movie kick these robbers' asses, these, it makes sense. And it didn't come out of nowhere. It was significant. That's writing. Placing the seeds throughout the movie. And a great writer will place those seeds throughout the movie and then not realize that the seeds were being placed. Like, you see Brad Pitt beat up Bruce Lee, and it's a funny fucking scene. It is funny. And you think, wow, that was a funny scene. And maybe that's it. Maybe that's all that scene meant. And, and that's all there really was to it. But then when it comes back later that Brad Pitt is kicking the shit out of these guys, when they're robbing the house, it's like, oh, wow, that made sense. Why that scene was in the movie. And it's like every little thing like that is like oh, wow, I forgot I put this cigarette here, and it's laced with acid or whatever it is. Like, that's writing. So I'm just bringing this up to say that there's way more to writing than dialogue. And Aaron Sorkin's dialogue is really good, but he's also a really good writer other than that. So, yeah, I think I rambled on a little too much. That was it. That was all I really wanted to say about this. I'm really excited for this because Aaron Sorkin is the best modern screenwriter. That's it. That's all I wanted to say. Just wanted to bring up this Q&A because I'm really excited for the movie. That's why it's the number one story. Also because not a lot of stuff really happened. Yeah. Okay, let's move on to number 2. Upcoming documentary triple feature, The Beatles Get Back, got a short trailer this week, quote-unquote first look, from Disney Plus Day. The trailer shows a scene from the documentary series which follows the 4 band members as they write and record their last record together, what would eventually become Let It Be, before breaking up in 1970. The Beatles Get Back, directed by Peter Jackson of Lord of the Rings fame and more recently World War I documentary They Shall Not Grow Old, will be released on Disney Plus over 3 consecutive nights, starting with the first part on November 25th. So yeah, I watched this earlier in the week. I don't need to watch it again. I watched it a few times. It's very interesting. I hope that this is representative. It's only like a minute and a half long. It's very short. But if you're a Beatles fan, it's really exciting. I hope that this is what the entire documentary is made out of. It's just like little moments like this of the band interacting together and just like writing songs on the spot and saying like, oh, play this, it's this chord, it's this chord, now it's this chord, Ringo do this. And it's that type of interaction that really humanizes the band members, because a lot of times with the Beatles is that they can get blown so far out of proportion that it's like, wow, the greatest band of all time, XYZ. But like, they were just kids when they started. They were like 14, 15, 16. And it should be known, and I hope that this documentary does it to humanize these guys, to just say like, yeah, they were just coming up with this stuff on the spot, and I hope that there's just more like that, because it really humanized the songwriting process. Anyone can do this. Anyone can be the next Beatles, well, not, you can't be John Lennon, but But yeah, you know what I mean. Like, I'm just hoping that there's more of this humanization. I thought the trailer was great, and I hope that and it wasn't a trailer, it was a scene from the movie, a minute-long scene from the movie. I hope that the whole movie is like that. The whole 3-part, it's going to be 6 hours each. Or not each, 2 hours each, 6 hours total. I hope the whole thing is like that. So, yeah, that was it. Small thing. Let's move on. Number 3. Upcoming Predator prequel titled Prey was announced this week along with its first trailer. The film takes place 300 years before the events of the first film and will be directed by Dan Trachtenberg, known for directing 10 Cloverfield Lane. Relatively unknown writer Patrick Asen will pen the screenplay. The Predator franchise is a long-running action horror series of movies, with the first movie releasing in 1987 starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, with subsequent movies releasing in 1990, 2004, 2007, 2010, and 2018. Much of the franchise outside of the first film has been panned by critics and fans alike. Yeah, I have not watched the Prey trailer. I'm not a Predator guy, and so I guess I'll just watch. I guess I'll watch a trailer because I'm kind of interested, and there's not a lot of trailers going on this week. I can't forget about that "Don't Look Now" trailer that I didn't see. But yeah, so I'll watch a trailer real quick and come back and give you an update. But just to, before I do that, I'm not a Predator guy. So if there's fan service, I won't get it. I haven't seen it yet. So yeah, be right back. Okay, I'm back. I don't really know what was happening with this trailer. I can't find it. Prey trailer just comes up with the video game. Predator trailer just comes up with the original Predator trailer, Prey. I just can't find this movie, and I just, to be honest, just don't care enough about it to really search for the trailer. So sorry, you're just not going to get my opinion on that. So let's move on, because to be honest, I don't really care. I'm going to probably stop covering it after this unless something happens. Okay, number 4. Upcoming sports drama National Champions received its first trailer this week via STX Entertainment. About a star college football quarterback who starts a strike hours before a game. The film stars J.K. Simmons, Stephen James, Alexander Ludwig, Lil Ray Howery, David Koechner, Kristen Chenoweth, Timothy Oliphant, and Uzo Aduba. It is directed by Rick Roman Waug, the director responsible for 2017's Shot Caller and 2019's Angel Has Fallen, and is written by Adam Mervis of 21 Bridges fame. National Champions is set to be released on December 10th, 2022. This trailer I know, it just came out today or yesterday. This trailer I know I'll find, so I will be right back. That was a really good trailer. Every once in a while I'll come across a movie that, and this is one of those movies that I look at and I say, you know what, that'll be an interesting story. And it was. The trailer portrayed it as an interesting story. But it'll be a straight drama, and it'll be, intense or, whatever a drama is to you. But they did an incredible job marketing this movie. I am not a sports guy. I'm not a college football guy. In fact, up until this very moment, was the person to say that, to argue against college athletes being paid money. But in that trailer alone, I'm second guessing myself. I don't really know what to think of the subject after this, and to be honest, it's not really the point of me talking about this. But it looks like a great movie. I'm totally sold on it. Comes out December 10th. Yeah, a little Oscar baity. Maybe, but I love it. I really love that. I don't know, trailers are not always cut and directed and edited by the director. Sometimes there's a different team. Sometimes they're outsourced to a team of marketing people that will just cut together what they have of the movie into marketing gimmicks. I hope that the movie is as gripping as that movie was, because there's a lot there. There's a lot of arguments. There's a lot of characters in play, and I couldn't tell where the movie was going to go. I'm pondering it. Because it's such a real world issue, I don't know how the movie would wind up, because if it winds up, good for the main characters or bad for the main characters, either way, it is certainly saying something about society. So It's really interesting. I'm sold on it. I'm truly sold on that movie. I'm looking forward to it. December 10th. Can't wait. Let's move on. Focus Features has dropped a new teaser trailer for the upcoming second Downton Abbey featured film titled A New Era this week. Simon Curtis is directing this feature with series creator Julian Fellowes writing. This film will see the return of the cast and characters from the beloved show and first feature film. Downton Abbey takes place in the fictional Yorkshire country estate from 1912 to 1926. The series ran from 2010 to 2015 on ITV in the United Kingdom and PBS in the US, gaining a significant portion of its audience from Netflix and Amazon Prime streaming services, and wound up becoming one of the most decorated shows in television history. The first film was then released in 2019 to fan and critical acclaim. I'm definitely not gonna watch this trailer. This is a TV show and then a movie, and this is the sequel to that movie. This is just way over my head. I don't know anything about Downton Abbey. I've never given it the time of day, for no other reason other than just it's never been recommended to me. I don't have anywhere to watch it. I just have never gotten around to it, and so I'm not gonna watch this trailer, because if I did, I would just make up some bullshit about it looks good, it doesn't look good, whatever, and I'm just not the type of person to give you that information. I haven't seen the movie. I haven't seen the show. I'm not your guy for this, so just wanted to bring it up, though. It's a big deal. Apparently, it's amazing. Number 6, Disney Plus Day, a commemorative day marked on November 12th, 2021, to note the service's 2-year anniversary, left us with a ton of announcements and new releases for the service. New announcements / release dates include Diary of a Wimpy Kid sequel in 2022, Welcome to Earth documentary from National Geographic on December 8th, a new Ice Age movie January 28th, 2022, Disenchanted and Cheaper by the Dozen in March 2022, and a bunch of other stuff that I frankly do not care about. If you do, you can read it on Deadline. A lot of times, I'll scroll through the Disney Plus catalog and it's like, wow, this is all family stuff. This is, whatever. And there's certainly a market for that. Disney Plus has, I forget what it was, 114 million active users as of July. There's certainly a market for that. It's not me. I don't mind being an active user. If I can't get Disney Plus access from someone in my family to watch the Beatles, I'll get the free service or I'll pay for the month. I don't care. I want to watch the Beatles, but I don't care about, this other crap, to be honest. This Cheaper by the Dozen, I don't care. Disenchanted, I don't care. So this other stuff, it just doesn't really matter to me. Okay. We are, as I'm recording this, 43 minutes into the show. I have a doctor's appointment soon. I'm just going to get my flu shot. But we have a few more things to get through, but I think I'm just going to kind of speed through it, just to get through it because I need to leave soon. But, so let's run through this stuff really quick. This is the wrap up. According to The Hollywood Reporter, comedy filmmaker David Zucker, known for Airplane, will reunite with Pat Profitt and Michael McManus for noir comedy The Star of Malta. Deadline reports that John M. Chu will direct a feature animation adaptation of Dr. Seuss's Oh, the Places You'll Go. Ben Stiller and Cate Blanchett are set to star an upcoming adaptation of the 1960s British sci-fi series The Champions. Paramount announced via a press release that 2 films' release dates will be altered. Transformers: Rise of the Beasts will now be released on June 9th, 2023, and the next untitled Star Trek film will be released December 22nd, 2023. The IDA Documentary Awards revealed their nominations for their show on February 5th, 2022. Deadline shared a first look about upcoming documentary feature Grandpa Was an Emperor. Deadline reported that Spike Einbinder, Greta Lee, Lythe Knackley, Larry Owens, Isabella Rossellini, RZA, James Scully, and Greta Titelman joined Emma Stone in A24's Fruit Tree. According to Deadline, Ethan Josh Lee joins huge cast of upcoming Wes Anderson movie Asteroid City, which has just wrapped shooting. Other cast members include Tom Hanks, Margot Robbie, Scarlett Johansson, Tilda Swinton, Sophia Lillis, Adrian Brody, Maya Hawke, Fisher Stevens, Bill Murray, Bryan Cranston, Jeffrey Wright, Jeff Goldblum, Liev Schreiber, Rupert Friend, Hope Davis, Jason Schwartzman, Matt Dillon, Tony Revolori, and Jake Ryan. Deadline reports that Will Smith-led Antoine Fuqua thriller Emancipation for Apple TV Plus adds a few more to its cast, including Stephen Ogg, Grant Harvey, Ronnie Jean Belvins, Jason Warner-Smith, Jabbar Lewis, Michael Luoye, and Aaron Moten. Deadline reports that there are rumors of The Double Deuce starring Jake Gyllenhaal and Doug Liman. That is gaining traction. Deadline reports that A24 greenlit a fantasy epic from director Isaiah Saxon starring Willem Dafoe, Emily Watson, and Finn Wolfhard. Hollywood Reporter reports that Mel Gibson is set to direct Lethal Weapon 5 in the wake of Richard Donner's death this past July. Deadline reports that The Most Dangerous Game remake adds Bruce Dern, Judd Nelson, and Casper Van Dien to its cast of Tom Berenger and C.T. Tamburello. Baz Luhrmann revealed on Twitter a short 20-second clip of his upcoming Elvis movie, which now has a release date of June 24th, 2022. In a Deadline exclusive, director Max Lowe revealed a trailer for his autobiographical documentary about losing his father, Alex Lowe. Anthony Mackie and Aisha Hart star in Rupert Wyatt's Desert Warrior, currently shooting in Neom. I've never heard that pronounced out loud, but I know it's like kind of in the Saudi Arabia. It's like its own territory, kind of. Deadline reports Andy McDowell will star in female ensemble My Happy Ending based on the Israeli play Sov Tov. Deadline reports that Alex Wolff is set to star Kiersey Clemens in upcoming thriller Susie Searches. HBO announced that Mark Duplass will direct documentary Tony Hawk Until the Wheels Fall Off about the titular Tony Hawk. Warner Brothers and HBO announced that Daniel Radcliffe, Rupert Grint, and Emma Watson will reunite for HBO Max's Harry Potter 20th Anniversary Return to Hogwarts, premiering January 1st. Universal announced that David Harbour is set to star in thriller titled Violent Night. And that is all the news this week. Okay, I think we can get through a few of these last few things right before it's okay for me to leave. My CVS is very close, so but I still want to get there early. So I'm still going to kind of breeze through this a little quickly, but what is new this weekend in theaters? Ghostbusters Afterlife. When a single mom and her two kids arrive in a small town, they begin to discover their connection to the original Ghostbusters and the secret legacy their grandfather left behind. Directed by Jason Reitman, starring Finn Wolfhard, McKenna Grace, Carrie Coon, and Sigourney Weaver. King Richard. A look at how tennis superstars Venus and Serena Williams became who they are after the coaching from their father, Richard Williams. Directed by Reynaldo Marcus Green, starring Will Smith, Anjanae Ellis, John Bernthal, and Sania Sidney. Come On, Come On. A radio journalist embarks on a cross-country trip with his young nephew, directed by Mike Mills, starring Joaquin Phoenix, Gabby Hoffman, Woody Norman, and Scoot McNairy. Extinct. Op and Ed accidentally time travel through the Galapagos Islands in 1835 to present-day Shanghai. They make their way through the city in confusion and make the horrifying discovery that the species to which they belong became extinct shortly after. Directed by David Silverman and Raymond S. Percy, starring Adam Devine, Rachel Bloom, Ken Jeong, and Zazie Beetz. That must have gotten delayed or something. I don't know why it's appearing again here, because I read that same thing like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Anyway, The Feast. Filmed in Wales? Oh, maybe the language is Welsh. Filmed in Welsh, the picture follows a young woman serving privileged guests at a dinner party in a remote house in rural Wales. The assembled guests do not realize they are about to eat their last supper. Directed by Lee Harvey Jones, starring Annes Elwey, Nia Roberts, Julian Lewis-Jones, and Stephen Kennedy. Jagged. Documentary centering on the life and work of Canadian singer-songwriter Alanis Morissette while making her breakout album Jagged Little Pill, directed by Alison Clayman, starring Taylor Hawkins, Shirley Manson, Alanis Morissette, and Kevin Smith. Zeros and Ones. An American soldier stationed in Rome with the Vatican blown up embarks on a hero's journey to uncover and defend against an unknown enemy threatening the entire world. Directed by Abel Ferreira, starring Ethan Hawke, Valero Mastadria, and 2 other names that I won't bother butchering. Bad Luck Banging or Looney Porn. Emmy, a school teacher, finds her career and reputation under threat after a personal sex tape is leaked on the internet. Forced to meet the parents demanding her dismissal, Emmy refuses to surrender to their pressure. Directed by Radu Jude, starring Katia Pascario, and other names I won't bother butchering. A House on the Bayou. follows a troubled couple and their daughter who go on vacation to an isolated house in the Louisiana bayou to reconnect as a family. When unexpected visitors arrive, the unity starts to unravel. Directed by Alex McCauley, starring Leah McHugh, Angela Serafian, Paul Schneider, and Jacob Laughlin. I know it's pronounced bayou. I just like to be silly. That's everything coming to theaters, but the big movie coming to Netflix this week is Tick, Tick, Boom. On the cusp of his 30th birthday, a promising young theater composer navigates love, friendship, and the pressures of life as an artist in New York City. Directed by Lin-Manuel Miranda, starring Andrew Garfield, Vanessa Hudgens, and Alexandra Shipp. And that is everything that's coming out next week, but not really. There's like a bunch of other stuff coming out on other platforms that it's really hard to amalgamate a list of all this stuff. But that is the show for this week. Kind of a shorter show, but, and sorry I had to rush through the end there. I usually don't want to do that. I don't like talking too fast because I know that some people can miss something and then they have to go back and find what I said or whatever. But I don't know. Whatever. What am I even talking about? I need to go. I need to get my flu shot. Everybody wish me luck. I hope everyone has a good week. Thank you for joining in. Show goes live on Wednesdays at 9 a.m. on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. It goes live on YouTube at noon in a semi-video, but it's still just the audio, so I guess not really a video at all. But yeah, that's it for the show. Thanks a lot. This was What Gets Captured on Film. My name is Dylan Paulson. Please feel free to follow on your respective podcast services for more. Leave a rating, a review, whatever. And I still don't have a good way to end the show, but I just hope that everyone has a good week. Go watch something fun for me. Pour one out for me, if you will. All right. Have a good week. Hi, I'm back. I totally forgot to watch and record my reaction to the Don't Look Up trailer, so I'm just going to put that right at the end. But trailer looks great. Seems to be like an accurate depiction of what would probably happen if that, something like that were to happen. Obviously it's a, comedic spoof, so hopefully that isn't actually what would happen. But my only fear with the movie is that it would be hard to keep that comedy going the whole way through the movie, or, to keep it funny or to keep it light, or potentially there's a dramatic turn through the movie about at a certain point you're just like, damn, this is some fucked up shit. But yeah, I am very interested, very intrigued. DiCaprio doesn't just pick movies. Meryl Streep doesn't just pick movies. So the script and Adam McKay must be a really good pairing. So yeah, really looking forward to it. Okay, that's it. All I had to say. Goodbye.